Oh, Mr. Aldrin, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, we were just talking to Jim Lovell about what has happened here today. It certainly looks like there's been a catastrophic end to the Space Shuttle Columbia's flight. What Jim Lovell was just saying was that the most dangerous part, I guess, I mean, other than takeoff, is when he was saying the atmospheric parts of the flight, meaning coming back into the Earth's atmosphere. Why is that so dangerous?
Well, all the energy that goes into accelerating.
I will continue on with my soliloquy as we look at these pictures coming from WFAA of multiple targets streaking across central Texas. Palestine, Texas is the place. And it occurred about 15 minutes before the anticipated landing of the Space Shuttle Columbia. And that should give you a sense of the speed. 15 minutes prior to landing, it's over Texas. This is a fast-moving vehicle, and still at a very high altitude, some 200,000 feet. Commercial airliner, 35,000, 40,000 maximum, so 5 times higher than.
Indicating it's only because of the general times we live in, but whenever we see any kind of catastrophe at the park.
Named Sam Knight. We're going to speak with him from Fort Worth, Texas. Mr. Knight, are you there?
All right, Jerry Lineker is back with us. Jerry, they were looking very closely at on
sites, because once they start coming down out of outer space toward the Earth, they have to go somewhere. This is not an event that any
dynamic that is, but usually it's a large hunk of ice that can fall off, and you're worried about it hitting part of the orbiter itself, possibly one of the tiles or some of the insulation material. And then during re-entry, you've got some major heat buildup, and so you need those tiles.
This is Mission Control Houston. A space shuttle contingency has been declared in Mission Control due to the loss of communication from the Space Shuttle Columbia that occurred at approximately 8 a.m. Central Time this morning as Columbia was descending toward a landing planned at the Kennedy Space Center to occur at 8:16 a.m. Central Time. At the time that communication was lost, Columbia was above the north central Texas area at an altitude of approximately 200,000 feet. No communications or tracking data was received from Columbia since that time. Search and rescue forces have been alerted in the north central Texas vicinity and eastern Texas. Any persons in those areas reporting debris should avoid any debris that may be associated with the space shuttle's contingency, as it may be hazardous and toxic due to the toxic nature of propellants that are used on board the shuttle. Any such debris that is located should also be reported as quickly as possible to local law enforcement agencies. Again, a space shuttle contingency has been declared in Mission Control. Flight controllers here are securing all information and data pertinent to today's descent by the Space Shuttle Columbia. The last communications from which were received at approximately 8 a.m. Central Time. This is Mission Control, Houston.
That is the final remnants of the Space Shuttle Columbia. Let's remind you of the crew and tell you who was there. The commander, Rick Husband. He was flying his second shuttle mission, his first as a commander, colonel in the United States Air Force. This is the stuff of boyhood dreams. Rick Husband always wanted to do what he was doing at that moment we just told you about. Born in July of 1957. Willie McCool, shuttle pilot, selected by NASA in 1996, gone through the training, and this was his first mission, commander in the United States Navy. Kaplana Chawla, this was her second mission. STS-87 was her first back in 1997. She was born in India and is a U.S. citizen. Like to do aerobatics and tailwheel airplanes, among other things. PhD. David Brown, up next. David Brown, born in 1956 in April. Also his first flight, a captain in the United States Navy. He was a mission specialist, which means he wasn't in the front two seats flying, but has, to his credit, 2,700 flight hours, 1,700 in high-performance military aircraft, and his parents reside in Virginia. Michael Anderson, on his second flight, STS-89 was his first back in January of '98. He visited the Mir space station at that time, and he selected by NASA in 1994, mission specialist, born December of '59, a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. Laurel Clark, also a mission specialist. This was a busy scientific mission. They used a thing called the double space hab module, a couple of school bus size, about the size of a school bus scientific lab. She was very involved in this as a medical doctor and a commander in the United States Navy, hailed from Iowa, was flying her first flight. A fair amount of rookies on this particular one. And then the one that captured a lot of our attention, and liftoff in particular, especially because of the concerns for security, Ilan Ramon, a colonel in the Israeli Air Force, who had a very, very decorated career as an F-16 fighter, including a raid in the mid-'80s on an Iraqi nuclear reactor, which was taken out by the Israeli Air Force.
Janet, we're told that Mission Control, NASA system-wide, is telling local citizens that could come into contact with pieces of debris to be very careful, to not touch it, rather report that you've seen this. Are you hearing that over perhaps the radio, news reports in your car, anything like that?
Yes, the Dallas stations are saying do not touch the debris. Leave it alone, notify law enforcement officials if they see it. Part of the reason that I'm concerned about this is I grew up there by the Manned Spacecraft Center, Johnson Space Center, and, know a great deal. That's why I used to go out and observe meteorites and things like that. That's why I was, this thing caught my eye at first.
Right, but you very quickly established that this was no meteorite.
No, this was not. At first I thought it was a large piece of space debris coming in, but I usually try to keep in touch and know when something's scheduled to come down, and then it hit me after it had gone down that the shuttle was scheduled to land.
A grave and devastating moment. It appears now that the Space Shuttle Columbia has been lost, along with all 7 crew members, 7 astronauts on board during the landing process, and it happened about 1 hour and 19 minutes ago. NASA declared an emergency and feared the worst after losing communications with the Space Shuttle Columbia as the ship and its 7 astronauts, including 1 Israeli, soared over Texas several minutes before its expected landing. As the minutes wore on, there appeared to be no hope for survival, and there you see some of the pictures caught on video cameras.
Disruptive to the craft, or it can be so intensely hot inside of the craft it can be dangerous to the astronauts.